So funny. Good morning. How is everybody, El Paso? We are super excited for this episode. We want to relate to you that we have here a very special guest that I've always looked up to, of course, and here in El Paso and also in New Mexico. And it is our very own top agent here in El Paso again, Jack Bumgardner. Hi, Jack.
What up, everyone? Hope we got people watching. Hope we got people ready to learn how to grind.
I'm so excited to hear from you, just for the reason because you always get me motivated and pumped up even by seeing your stories on Facebook. So we really need that during this time. How's everything going with you?
Everything's going great. And I know we're going through a pandemic and I know people are concerned, but there's still business out there. We are deemed essential. So you can get it if you want it. We're just having to persevere and do things a little bit differently. But as everything, the cream rises to the top. If you're willing to work, you're willing to do what it takes, there's no reason why you can't be successful and thrive in this industry right now, here today.
Absolutely. And I think I wanted to kind of gear this podcast because I do feel there's a lot of agents that are out there right now that are either trying to get their grind in, try to hustle, but maybe can't seem to get, enough from either other agents or, enough learning from anybody else. How can you help us? And I say us too, because Edgar and I, we have a very good system going, but if we don't learn from others, we can't grow. Sure. So again, we focused on you just because we just love how you do business, and that's true honesty.
Sure. Well, thank you for that. First of all, whoever's watching, there's no wrong way to do business. There's no right way. That's the beautiful thing about real estate. You can be successful in real estate by being you. Don't try to be me. Don't try to be Edgar and Jackie. Don't try to be Brian Burrs. Just be you. When you're you and you're your own individual uniqueness, you'll attract people. It's when people try to be something that they're not, when they don't become successful and when people can see right through that. So whoever you are, whatever you do, just be you. I tell people always say, what's the biggest house you've ever sold? And I said, well, it's $1.8 million. Oh my gosh, what doctor bought it? Dude, it was a landscaper that bought it. You just never, and he bought it cash. Yeah, you just never know who's that person. You know what I mean? And so you have to treat each client, each person as if they're, an individual and they're not just a dollar sign. My big thing and what's differentiated me from the rest of the real estate community is I've chosen to be a relational agent and not a transactional relation. Okay. Most agents look at a client and they serve them well, don't get me wrong, and they do a great job. But after the closing, what happens? We just forget about that person. We move on with our life. We go to the next phase of our life. And this comes from NAR, guys. This is amazing. 86% of people that were interviewed within 1 year of selling a house or buying a house, within 1 year, 86, they would say, did you have a successful real estate transaction with your agent? 86% of them said yes. But here's the crazy thing, and here's what caused me to do a paradigm shift in my business 7 years ago. 86% of those people could not remember the name of the agent or the brokerage that they worked for, and they had a successful real estate transaction. Wow, 86% can't remember the name of the agent or the person who they bought a house from. So I took that information and I said, what can I do to focus on the 86%? And that's when I decided to embrace the Brian Buffini. And I'll be honest with you, I'm a Buffini-ite. I've decided to embrace Brian Buffini and what he says and his techniques. And as you said, you've got your system, which is successful. For me, the Buffini system was successful. It requires the most amount of work, but the least amount of advertising dollars.
Absolutely.
And so for me, I talk to people all the time in real estate. I get calls from agents. What are you doing? What can I do? And this is my question all the time. You want to get paid or paid attention to? Do you want to get paid or paid attention to? To be quite honest with you, most agents want to get paid attention to. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm in business to provide for my family. I'm in business to provide for my clients. At the end of the day, I don't care who gets the credit. Absolutely. But most agents want the credit. They want, and like, again, I'm not here to judge or criticize anyone, but I'm interested in getting the deal done and moving on to the next one.
Exactly. And what you can provide for your family, I sometimes feel, is that we don't look at the important back end of our real estate business and who are we really providing for at the end of the day. Are we in a good state of being financially, how can I say, suited? Like, do we have health insurance? Do we have, a good savings? How do you
college funds for me at this point? I've got a daughter that is in college. I got one that's graduating from Coronado next year. I got a son that's going to be a freshman. That's big to me right now is the college fund. It's not cheap, guys. I mean, college is not cheap, but that's why we do what we do. People ask me all the time, oh, I got my license because I want to help people. And I tell them, if you want to help people, let's go down to the soup kitchen. If you want to help people, let's go down to the Salvation Army. Granted, we help people, but at the end of the day, you got your license to provide for your family. You got your license to give you economic freedom. And there's no other industry like real estate that can do that for you. However, in order to achieve that, you have to put your clients' needs above yours. And that's what I mean. We're talking about this pandemic. How have I been able to get business out of this? Well, I'll start off by telling you 2 months ago, I wrote 260 handwritten cards to my clients. And it wasn't asking for business. It was, hope you're doing well in this pandemic. I know at the time we had the stay in place shelter. I said, hope you're doing well to stay in place. Let me know if you need anything. I'm going to Sam's on a weekly basis. Absolutely. That's what the card said. Me thinking of my clients. I text probably 400 people that I know, clients, just hoping that they're doing well and if there's anything that they needed. Here's the wonderful thing about real estate or business in general. The more you give, the more you get.
Absolutely.
Think about that. The more you give, the more you get. Yeah. When you put your clients' needs and your friends' needs and people's needs above your own, it's just amazing how you can get back in return.
Absolutely.
So another thing that I did is after we got released from, the stay in place and we opened up a little bit. Well, I had bought a bunch of the peeps. Remember, we had Easter around and the car was going to be, have your peeps call my peeps. And I was going to deliver those to 262 people or whatever. Well, I started thinking, wow, that's just, I can't do it. You couldn't, at the time, April, everyone was just scared. What's going on? What's going to happen? So believe it or not, about 2 weeks ago, I took those same peeps and on the back of it, I put a sticker and it said, intended for Easter, delayed for your protection.
Wow.
Intended for Easter, delayed for your protection. Do you know I passed those things out that were old and hard and stale? Got 4 listings out of that, guys.
Yeah.
4 listings because people were like, thank you for thinking about us. Thank you for coming by. Thank you for being you and doing what you want. Now, I didn't necessarily pass those out because I necessarily wanted listings. That was a byproduct of putting a client's needs or your people in your sphere of influence above your own. So that's for me what's just been, a tremendous, and I continue to do that. Every day I wake up and say, what can I do to provide a service? What can I do to go above and beyond what other agents are doing for my clients? And again, it's not about me and I'm so, wow, look at me, look at this. Well, I had a client that, like all of us, we have a stressful closing and she was moving out and she texts me Sunday. We had signed Friday. She texted me Sunday and said, Jack, I wasn't able to clean the house. The movers packed everything. Well, I went over to the house Sunday at 7:45 and the house was a mess. Floors were dirty. There was garbage everywhere. There's everything there. I went back home. I grabbed me, my son, and my wife. We went back to the house. We loaded up a full bed of garbage, debris. We swept, we mopped, we did what we needed to help that client in her situation over there.
Yes.
So.
Yes, you got to go always above and beyond for your clients. So on a typical day, Jack, just so that an agent knows, how does your day go on a daily basis? What do you do? Is like, I know you said as soon as you open your eyes, when does your day start and when does your day end?
Okay, so right now things are a little bit different with the pandemic and what we've got going on. So my alarm goes off at 6:45. I wake my son up at 7:15, and we're out the door at 7:30 to be at the gym at 7:45 to 9. So that's kind of the schedule that we have: 7:45 to 9, Monday through Friday. I come back home 9:15. I take a shower. I like to be in the office between 10:15 and 10:30. I mean, that's my daily routine. 5 days a week when I come into the office. The first thing I do when I get into the office, and I'm actually in my office, let me grab these right here. You guys see these right here? These are cards.
Those are your cards.
These are cards. My cards. The first thing I do every day, come hell or high water, is I try to write 5 cards.
Okay.
And that card has nothing to do with generating business for me. It has who did I meet in the prior day? Who haven't I reached out to? Whose birthday is it? What's unique about an individual? And it could be as simple as, Roger Meyer, for example, was a guy that hadn't talked to or sent in a while. And I said, Roger, hadn't heard from you a while. Hope things are going well. Just thinking about you, brother. Here to serve, Jack B. And I put a business card and I sent through the mail to him. That was just one of them.
Wow. Okay.
So that's the first thing I do. And then after that, like always, you get into the emails, you start, the daily grind, seeing what's going on. My day typically ends between 7:30 and 8. That's usually the time I'm going home pretty much every night, 7:30 and 8.
Wow.
Because again, we have to be here for our clients.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to be a realtor that works banker's hours, you're not going to be in this business. Now, I preface that by saying this. If the only thing you have to offer your client is availability, you won't be in this business very long. And we've all been there, done that. When I mean the availability, oh my gosh, they're calling me at 5:30 in the morning. I better answer this text, or they're texting me at 10 o'clock at night. Can you do that to a doctor? Can you call your doctor at 6:30 in the morning and expect him to respond? Can you go to your accountant on a Sunday at 8 in the morning and expect them to respond? No, but that's kind of the norm for us. Well, here's what I've learned. And I learned this through the School of Hard Knocks, because I was answering text at 5 in the morning, 2 in the afternoon, 1 in the, we're doing that because you want to be a great agent. But once you learn to set parameters, and once you answer a text at 6 in the morning, guess what the expectation is? Every time moving forward, I expect you to answer that text at 6 in the morning.
Correct.
So I try to put parameters. I let my clients know. I start answering my text around 8 in the morning, even when I'm at the gym, and I stop at 10 at night. That's for me what works for me, and I'm okay with those hours. 8 in the morning to 10 at night. That's my business hours per se. And I know that's longer than the average, but for me, that's what works, because I don't have a team. It's just me. I do everything.
That was my next question. Because in the last 2 years, you've sold 55 million in production and closed over 260 homes. How can you tell us? I know me and Edgar, we try to get as high, and I'm like this to him. Like, it's just so much. And right now, currently I don't have an assistant, and I just got one agent that's been helping me tremendously. But how do you do it? Who's your team?
The hardest thing to do is set aside time. So if you're returning emails, it's very easy to pick this up and return a text. Okay, and you can see my phone here. I've got 13 texts right now. I could have been answering those in the last 20 minutes we've been talking, but I put the phone down and I focus solely on returning emails. When it's time to return text, I focus solely on returning text. So for me, I really have to time manage and do things great. I don't work a whole lot of buyers, I'm being honest with you, but when I do work, about 20% of my book of business is buyers. When I do work with a buyer, I require them to meet with me and do what I call the anatomy of a transaction. The anatomy of a transaction is, what can you expect from right here to the closing table? And I lay out the expectations. This is what you can expect. This is how the process is going to go. This is what the negotiation is going to be. So you lay out the expectation and you let them know. I will respond to you. And if I don't respond to you, it's usually because I'm with the client or I'm on the computer. And when you lay that expectation, that makes it a lot easier for clients to say, okay, I'll have people text me all the time. If you're with the client, that's fine. Respond to me when you can. So I've really learned how to time management and do things. You just have to maximize every hour, every minute in the day so you can be effective. Yes, it's crazy the amount of volume, the amount of business that I do, but I do it in a system, and I do it methodically.
Good.
And you have to have time management, yes. And then my wife does help me on the back end with some of the paperwork, so that helps out a lot as well.
That's wonderful. Edgar, I know I'm still here. I haven't even let you ask any questions.
What people always ask me, Jack, how do you do it? You're working with the wife. It's crazy, and you have to split time. But I've learned to when to speak and when to stay quiet, right? So you guys are killing the show. I love the questions, real content. It's not scripted, and that's the best thing I think we can bring to our audience so that they actually get what's going on. The one thing that I wanted to definitely get, and Jackie touched a little bit, was about right when I first started, and I still remember about 3.5 years ago, one of my few first transactions was with Jack, right? So I tell everybody this story, and I say, you know what, man, I've never met somebody who is willing to kind of help me, walk me through the contracts. I quite didn't even understand the whole concept of it. I mean, I had the basics of it, but you really guided me through an easy transaction. And not only that, I mean, it wasn't kind of like, oh, let me come and pat myself on my back kind of deal. It was kind of, let me talk to you a little bit about it. It's been a very, and I think I told you this before, either through text, I'll call you and say, man, you're my indirect mentor in a lot of different ways. And I want to definitely thank you for that, because it's allowed me to kind of set my foundation in helping Jackie and our team here get better, get bigger, and continue to learn. Now, one thing that is crazy that's going on right now that I want to just kind of get your opinion on it, because El Paso's real estate market is in a bit of a frenzy. It's going crazy. Things, buyers. There's a lot of buyers out there. There's not a lot of inventory, and it's been fun nonetheless, but very chaotic at times as well. Give me some thoughts on what you think is going to look like here, maybe in the next 6 months. Do you anticipate this still carrying out that way, or are things going to be changing here a little bit?
That's an awesome question, and I actually have an answer for that. First of all, let me start by saying, Edgar, you're doing the exact right thing. They say the difference between a successful marriage and a non-successful marriage is 2 or 3 things left unsaid every day. Okay, 2 or 3 things left unsaid every day. So I try to remember that with my wife when I want to say something too. I was like, nope, 2 or 3 things left unsaid every day can be the difference between a successful marriage and a non-successful one. So I do. I look at you guys and I respect you, and I think it's great because it's not easy to work with your spouse 7 days a week. It's not easy to go to the gym with her. I mean, it's the nature of this business is stressful. Okay, so continue doing what you guys are doing. All right, let's talk about real estate and the market and what I think is going to happen here. So as you guys know, I'm on the board of directors, okay, here in El Paso. So we average, in 2019, we were averaging about 1,700 listings coming on the market every month, excuse me. So we average about 17. Currently with the pandemic, we have around 700 coming on the market. Okay, so that's less than half that's coming on the market. So it's the old supply and demand theory. There's still people coming in. Military still coming in. I don't know if you guys heard, Jack and you're in New Mexico. Burlington Northern Santa Fe just announced they're building their largest train depot in Santa Teresa. The Maquilas have people coming in, Texas Tech. So people are still coming in. But the fact that there's lack of inventory is the reason we're seeing these multiple offers and we're seeing houses go through. Yeah. What I'm seeing and what we're experiencing all right now is people are a little gun shy because of the pandemic to put their house on the market. What's going to happen with my job? What's going to make? When can I move forward? Okay. So what we anticipate is probably September, maybe October, we're going to see an influx of houses go back on the market, and the market will level itself off. Once kids get back to school, whatever UIL and whatever, Texas deems as normal, once we get into the normalcy of this is the new norm, people can kind of exhale a little bit and we'll see the market. So right now, I think we have probably 1,200 to 1,500 houses pent up that will come on the market. So I think the market will stabilize itself once that happens.
Okay. Well, that's good information for all of us to know, especially with us. We have quite a bit of buyers too, but we have no homes. There is absolutely no homes. So I guess, doing the postcards and things like that. Would you go back to the basics and do like door knocking, or that doesn't exist anymore?
What's really been effective for me, and I'll be honest with you, is direct mail. And it's not, I tried postcards and those were not effective. Comes up for me, comes in an envelope with an actual, and I get crisp stamps, the colorful ones, the T-Rex ones and all that, because we know a handwritten note has a 99% likelihood of being open. 99%. So you can almost guarantee that it's going to be opened up. So yes, I think we're leaning more back to, because what are the statistics? I think something like 97.5% of all emails in America are not even open. They're just deleted. We're so inundated with emails. People aren't opening them up anymore. So the old school phone calls, man, you see this thing that I have right here? The fourth most important function on it now is making a phone call.
Yes.
checking your bank, it's checking your text, checking your email. A phone, which was designed to answer a phone call, that's the fourth most important use for it now. It's way down on the list. So a personal phone call goes huge. And I'll tell you guys what I did, because I know the inventory is down. So I did a little video, and it just had the word sold, and it went backwards and forward with my picture, my face, and I put sold is my favorite word. And it was just a little 3-second video. It went sold is my favorite word. So I sent that video to 125 close people that I know, and I put this right now. Now's the time to sell. Inventory is low. Buyers are paying top dollar. I sent that to 125 people, and it yielded me 4 listings out of that. So we have to always be thinking of what can we do? Because guys, we sell real estate, right? That's what we do. We sell real estate. But honestly, when people ask me, what do you do? I say, I'm in the relationship building in this business. I sell houses as a byproduct. That's a byproduct of what I do. So we have to keep that in mind. And I keep talking about relational versus transactional. A relational type real estate agent is someone that has a sphere of influence. A sphere is people that you've worked with before, people that know you, people that love you, that when they're at work and someone mentions that they're thinking about buying a house or selling, that person says, oh, you got to call my boy Edgar. You got to call Jackie. They're great. So I don't just want to be the spokesperson for my business. I'm one guy, and I have a pretty good sphere of influence, but you don't close 137 deals in 1 year by yourself. You have to have your clients, your family members, your people at your church. How many people go to church here? We all go to church for the most part, right? Yes. You guys know I went to my pastor 3 years ago, and I said, Pastor, I would like to be the real estate agent for our church. And he said, well, Jack, there's several other real estate agents in the church. And I said, yes, sir. But have any of them asked you, Pastor? I said, anytime, if another agent asks you, by all means. So I can guarantee 7 to 10 closings from my church every year just because I asked the question. Now, you have to be involved in the church. They have to know who you are. You have to show up. You have to do things. But that's just the way that you can be relational. If your pastor or your priest, and you go to talk to him, say, I'm thinking about selling my house and moving on, and your pastor or priest says, wow, you got to call Jackie Stevens. Do you think that person is not going to work with you? Do you think you have to sell yourself to that person? I mean, it's just pretty much guaranteed business. So we always have to look at ways as realtors, what can we do to get ourselves out there, and how can we differentiate ourselves? One other thing, really quickly, we had an agent in the office. His name is Luis Larinua. I love Luis, if you worked with him before. And Luis does a lot of phone call, and he's a transactional agent. He's moving to be more relational. He said, Jack, what can I do? And this was last spring. I was talking to Luis. I said, Luis, does your daughter play any sports? She's like, yeah, she plays soccer at Franklin. I said, great. They're going to have a parent meeting, Luis. Go to that parent meeting. When they ask who wants to sign up as a volunteer, you raise your hand. Well, what do I do next, Jack? Come talk to me. So he signed up. He said, yeah, I'm the snack coordinator for the Franklin JV soccer team. I said, that's great. Now you're going to have another meeting with the parents, and you're going to go in there, and there's going to be 40. How many people there? Oh, there's 45. I said, okay, when that happens, I want you to stand up and say, my name is Luis Larinua. I have signed up to be the snack coordinator for our daughters here. Stand up, Luis, and start passing your card out to everyone. And say, here's my business card. It has my phone number. It has my email. It has every way to get a hold of me. If you need to get a hold of me for any reason about the snacks and coordinate it, let me know. What did Luis do? Did it sound like he was desperately asking for business by doing that? No. He gave a business card to say, here's a way to get in contact me. Do you know that yielded 2 sales for Luis?
Goodness. I believe that.
We have to be thinking, how can I serve? That's serving. And when I serve, getting business is going to be a byproduct of it. Edgar, I'm asked that question all the time. What can I do to generate business? And you know what I tell people? Do things that you like. What hobbies do you have? What interests do you have? Well, what do you mean? Would you like to go to the gym? Or do you collect model airplanes? Do you like to go mountain biking? Because people want to do business with like-minded people. And when you're doing things, for example, I had a guy that has trains. He's a realtor over there. I said, if I were you, I'd go over to House Hobby Shop and I'd find out when they have a meeting. Guess what? Those jokers meet twice a month. And he's over there now. He sold 2 houses. He's doing something that he likes, and people are giving him business at the same time.
There you go. There you go. It's a win-win. So would you say, Jack, that most of your repeated business is through your past clients, like you say, or do you work off of any CRMs out there, or that's done?
Well, it's funny you said that. people don't believe me. And matter of fact, I'm part of the top 1% of ERA nationally. And the only reason I mentioned that is you get on this cruise and you go with the top 50 agents in ERA. And last year when we did the cruise, out of the top 58 individual agents, 46 of them were paying Zillow. Okay. I have nothing against Zillow. They literally accused me of being a liar. They said there's no freaking way that you can close 100 and some deals and not pay Zillow. I have not given Zillow $1 since I've been in real estate. And I tip my hat to whoever's paying Zillow. That's okay. But I choose to do my business relationally. I have a monthly mail out that goes out. That pop by that I was telling you, all of my clients on my A database, there's 252 on my A database. They physically get a touch from me 4 times a year. Mm-hmm. And a touch is knocking on their door and bringing by a gift. Those peeps that I was telling you about, I knock on the door and I just touch them and I say, hey, I was in the area. Want to thank you for being great clients here. I dropped off this gift for you. So for me, again, I'm not here to disrespect anyone, but we have agents in the El Paso community who are giving Zillow $18,000 a month. Mm-hmm. We have people in the El Paso agents who are giving Zillow $15,000 a month, $9,000 a month. I choose not to run my business this way. I choose to run my business the old-fashioned way: calls, notes, pop buys, and a monthly mail out. That's been the key, guys. Mm-hmm. That's been the key.
I love it. And I will tell you, I tried Buffini a couple of years ago. No, it's been a while, like 8 years ago. I went to one of his conferences there in Dallas. Mm-hmm. And it worked so well just because of the handwritten notes and the Popeyes that I did. I kind of leered off of that, but the results are positive. So that I do wish to go back to and show. Any other questions? No?
Yeah, no, this is really good. And I like it because, we all kind of get stuck into it. You get people that are wanting to join, teams and be a part of that. And a lot of it's because they want leads. I think there's this magical, thing to the whole real estate, success or whatnot. And it doesn't, it requires hard work and there's different ways to skin a cat. We all know that. Obviously you share some very good positive ones here. Some that, like I said, I tend to follow very closely just because I know it works for you. So I'm going to make it work for me. And I always tell people, in this real estate business, it's okay to cheat. It's okay to see what works for others, try it out, and definitely don't try to be somebody you're not. I definitely see that. But I think you present some very good things. And I know this is kind of a podcast that we wanted to design to talk about real estate and all that. But one thing that I did want to touch on is that we also have lives outside of our business. And so I know one thing, and following you, Jack, you spend a lot of time with your family. I just wanted you to kind of touch on, give you a little bit of time. So I know your son has a big weekend ahead of him. Tell everybody about how that's going on and see how we can help support him.
Well, everyone should be proud of their kids. And my household, and I have 3 children, and I said, as a father, I always tell my kids, you have to do something if you're going to be a Bumgardner. If it's sports, great. If you want to play chess, great. If you want to play the cello, you have to do something, because I personally believe an idle mind is the devil's workshop. If you don't keep a kid occupied and busy, that's when they start getting into trouble. Now, all 3 of my kids have gravitated to sports. And my goal for my kids is not to be in the WNBA or to be in the NFL. Here's the goal for my kids. And if you have a child that's in sports, if you have a child that's a band member, if you have a child that's in speech and debate, as a parent, this should be your goal. For your child to give everything that they can and be okay with the results. Because here's what I believe, guys. The only thing that follows work is results. Let me say that again. The only thing that follows work is results. So if you bust your butt on the basketball court, on the football field, and real estate, you can get out of it. If you truly bust your butt, good results. That's the only thing that you can get out of it. So my story, just to let you know, about 5 years ago, I went to my pastor and I said, Pastor, I've got this going on. I'm so stressful. I'm this, and it's tough to get to my kids' games and all this. And my pastor told me this. He said, Jack, if I asked your kids how much money you made last year, what would they say? They'd say they didn't know. I said, Jack, if I asked your kids how many houses you sold last year, what would they say? Well, they wouldn't know, Pastor. Great. Jack, if I asked your kids, what was your production last year? What would they say? They wouldn't know. He said, Jack, do you know how your kids know you love them? T-I-M-E, time. And this industry can suck the life out of you. Now you're talking to a 17-year vet now. And I've learned this through the school of hard knocks. The first 10 or 12 years, I was working 7 days a week, 12 hours a day, literally. And I'm not exaggerating. I really was. And my family was suffering. So I took a step back and I said, I'm going to start creating appointments. Okay. So an appointment for me is real hard for me to do an appointment from 3:30 to 5. Guess why? Because that's when Coronado girls basketball practices. Real tough for you to get up. And I will tell people, I have an appointment I'll be gone from 3:15 to 5:15. We can meet anytime after 5:30. And guess what? 99.99% of people say, okay, great. Okay, great. Yeah. So I've made it a point. I've got my son who's going to be a freshman next year. He played at Lincoln Middle last year. I can honestly look you in the eye and tell you that I probably showed up to 95 to 98% of every one of his practices. And it's not, wow, look at me, I'm a great dad, but it's good for me and my kids to know my daddy's there for me, that he supports me, that he loves me. And I tell all of my kids, I don't care if you're the star quarterback. I don't care if you're the second string. I don't care if you don't play at all. The only thing I care about, if my kids were here, they would ask you, what is the only thing I care about, son? And he's going to say all out effort. That's the only thing that you can expect your kid. That's the only thing I can expect of myself, all out effort. Because if you get all out effort, most people are afraid to give all out effort. The results speak for themselves. So yes, if you're a realtor out there and you're busy, like we all are, and you have things going on, remember, you can't take back lost time from your kids.
No.
And your kids, do the kids remember how much, if we bought them the Jordans or the Kevin Durant, what do our kids remember? Dang, mom and dad took us on a vacation to Six Flags, or mom and dad took us to Ruidoso, or mom, that's the thing that our kids, that's what I remember growing up, what my parents did with me together. I don't remember what my dad did and the money and the shoes that he bought me and all that. I remember the times that my dad spent with me. So I've decided to be intentional about that. I've decided to be intentional and to say the most important thing in my life is God, first and foremost. And number two is my family. And you can't talk the talk and not walk the walk. So by me talking the talk, I'm walking the walk. I'm made it a point to be at all of my kids' events.
I love it. I love it. God, family, business. God, family, business is what we live our lives by too. So that just hit a good spot. Did it hit you?
It hit.
It's tough for all of us at real estate agents out there because we want to be so proactive to our clients and we mistake availability for professionalism. That's what the average agent will mistake. Guys, why are 85% of real estate agents out of the business within 18 months? Because they don't differentiate time with family and time home. Because you can be in the office at 8 and you can get home at 7 o'clock. What is your phone doing from 7 to 10 every night, guys? It's blown up, right? It's agents calling you. It's people calling you. You have to have that fine line. So for me, that fine line is I'm still going to answer the call. But man, last night I had dinner at 8:15. From 8:15 to 8:35, I put my phone up. And when I came back, I had 11 texts. That's okay. I gave my wife, and at that time I only had one daughter with me. I gave my wife and my daughter Annie my 16 minutes right then and there. They had my undivided attention for 16 minutes. And I didn't say a word. They both were da 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 da. And I'll be honest with you, I'm being transparent with you. I can't remember what either of them said last night, but they felt that I was listening to this. Because I was shaking my head and I was agreeing. And I'm not proud of that. Most of the time I listen, but yesterday I had a lot on my mind. But they still knew that Dad gave me that time right there.
Got it. God, so much vital information. I'm so happy we got to do this with you, Jack.
Yeah. Well, it's tough, Jackie. Again, 85% are out in 18 months because they don't realize it. This is one of the hardest industries to ever get into. If someone tells you, oh, they're going to get into it because they can talk to people, man, give them 18 months, they're going to be out of the industry. Real estate is a tough industry. It's a very rewarding industry, but you have to learn. And I've only learned, guys, through the school of hard knocks. I've only learned from the first 10 years of my real estate life. I was there at the dining table eating, but I was answering phones. I was returning phone calls. My mind mentally wasn't engaged with my family. It's only been the last 5 to 6 years. Now, remember, I've been licensed 17 years. So the last 5 to 6 years is when I've had to make that paradigm shift. Because Edgar, you're married and you love Jackie. Jackie, you're married and love Edgar, right? And someone told me this in real estate. What would it matter if you sold 50 million in real estate and you made $1 million and your wife left you? Wow. To me, it was like, I wouldn't give a rat's you know what about the money, the production, or any of that. For me personally, my wife and my kids and my family are the most important thing. So if we're going to say that, and everyone says that, you got to talk the talk, you got to walk the walk, correct?
I love it. I love it. Right on point. That's, oh my goodness.
No, you can't get that, but you can get some of that in a book. But when you bring it to someone live and you get the real information here, it's amazing. Thanks, Jack.
Thanks, Jack. And we appreciate you extending this, because if there are new agents out there and they're scared or they don't know how to ask or who to ask, I mean, I would like that, to extend that if they wish to ask us any questions. You never keep any secrets. There's no secret to Jack Bumgardner. You always just lay it down.
Right. Well, people ask me all the time. I mean, I can be honest with you. I had calls from 3 different agents, one from Keller Williams yesterday, one from Coldwell Banker, and another one from that I know. And they were asking me questions about a contract. And I was happy because I love my industry. It's given me so much. Why would I not want to help that other agent? You know what I mean? Because we've done transactions in the past and they were just asking me my opinion about this. One agent from KW called me and said, what's your opinion about the price of this house, Jack? You think I'm overpricing it? We had a 22-minute conversation about the price of a house that he's going to list. And I'm not telling you that, wow, look at me. You want to give back to your industry. You want to make realtors better. We want to be professional. Why, guys? How do people view real estate agents nationally? Do y'all know? One step above a used car salesman. I don't like that image that the general population, is looking at real estate agents. We need to police ourselves and we need to be more professional and more proactive. And there's enough real estate for everyone out there. That's what I tell people. I've got no secrets. You want to learn what I do? You want to see how my mailing list is? You want to see what I do? You want to see how I write cards? You want to copy the cards that I write? I've had agents, well, let me see what you write. And I'll give them a card, put their name in and sign it. And like I said, there's enough business for all of us out there. Absolutely. The more remember what I said in the beginning? The more you give, the more you get. I don't know why it's like that, but the more you give, the more you get.
I love it. I love it. So, just extending, if anybody ever needs anything or questions, you have Jack here. He's just super amazing. He's helped us realize things back time when you took us to lunch. Things that just help us out as real estate agents. Like, what's the saying that if you're sitting at the table and you feel like you're not learning anymore, you got to move to a different table? Is that what I'm saying? Is that what it is?
That
Jackie, keep on growing. You got to keep on learning. So that's good that you extend that out to our real estate community.
As a real estate agent, you should never be the smartest person in the room, in my opinion. I don't want to be the biggest and baddest and smartest agent, because I don't. I want to learn every day from someone. There's people that I can learn from. There's people that I try to learn from. That's why I continue to go to conferences. That's why I take notes. I mean, I'm constantly trying to learn. And when you go to a conference, it's not life-saving. I'm going to go to a 2 or 3 day conference. I'm going to take 2 or 3 nuggets out of it. Out of a 3-day conference, I'm going to take 2 things away, 2 things out that I'm going to try to implement in my business. But sometimes those 2 or 3 things can make the difference between an extra $100,000. Really, they really can.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Good info, Jack.
No, you nailed it.
Yeah, you nailed it. And I don't know if I'm missing anything else. I didn't even know you were a football player with UTEP.
Yes, that's why Edgar respects me, because he played at NMSU and I was at UTEP and we whooped up on them. I think we went 2-2, Edgar, those years. I can't up on them. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh my God. Well, that is so awesome. I was reading your bio and I'm like, I didn't know that about Jack. He was a UTEP football player. Yes. That is so cool.
Yeah. I don't know if that's a good thing, but I still claim the minors. You know what I mean? After winning 2 games in the last 3 years.
Oh, yeah, this one's like all NMSU.
Hey, I'm gonna ride that bowl win forever now.
Forever, yeah. I have a friend, that's his profile picture. They won the bowl game. Yeah, he's a diehard Aggie fan. Yeah, I always go back and forth with Andrew Haggerty too, with Century Toy, because he's a huge NMSU fan as well. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, you need to talk to him.
That's my next favorite guy.
Well, we thank you so much, Jack. If you want to end it with something for everybody during this hard pandemic time, hopefully we get out a little bit soon. We're just super grateful that you got to talk with us.
Sure. All right, I'll end it with a story that motivated me and maybe it'll motivate you.
Okay.
So in 1962, and a lot of people went around 1962, we were in the middle of what we call the space age, trying to go to the moon. So in 1962, there was a president. Do you happen to remember who was president in 1962? It was the best looking president of all time, Kennedy.
JFK.
So yeah, JFK was president. So in 1962, JFK came before a live national audience. And in 1962, he made a bold proclamation. He made a proclamation that everyone thought he was crazy. He said, we're going to go to the what? To the moon. He said, we're going to go to the moon and we're going to do it within 10 years. People thought he was crazy. People thought he didn't know what he was talking about. People thought this was the end of his presidency. But here's why President Kennedy made that bold proclamation. Prior to that, the lead rocket scientist at the time was a guy named Frederick von Braun. Frederick von Braun was the leading mind in the United States. He was renowned worldwide for being the guy for space travel. And President Kennedy was talking to the space people, and he was talking to Frederick von Braun. He said, Mr. von Braun, what will it take for us to go to the moon? I can give you unlimited resources. I can give you unlimited people. I can give you anything at your disposal. I can give you thousands and thousands of workers. Mr. von Braun, what will it take for us to go to the moon? Mr. von Braun looks at the president, pulls his eyeglasses down. He said, Mr. President, what will it take to go to the moon? Yes, Mr. von Braun, the president says, what will it take to go to the moon? He looks the president dead in the eye and he says, the will to go to the moon. The will to go to the moon. If you're out there and you're listening, what will it take to be successful? What will it take to close a real estate transaction? What will it take to be a better father, better mother, a better son, a better daughter? The will. God has created us and given us a free will. So if you want to be successful in any avenue, any aspect of your life, it starts with this thing right here. The belief and the will to say, I want to do it. Thanks for having me, guys. It was great. I appreciate the opportunity. Love to talk to you. Anyone that want to call me, you can reach out to me.
Thank you, Jack. We
Thanks,
appreciate
Jack.
you. God bless you.
Have a good one.
Bye-bye.
Stay safe.